Hi, in this video what I'd like to do is just demonstrate how to change a machine name. I know some of you probably know how to do this, but that's going to be one of the first things we want to do is give each one of our machines a unique name. They've all been taken from an image, so they all have the same name. So what I want to do is I'm just going to start with my server 2003. I'm just going to right click on it and say open in console. I've already powered it on, and I need to log in. So on the virtual machine, even though it's saying Control Alt Delete, it's really Control Alt Insert. So I'm just going to click in the window and I'm going to do a Control Alt and an Insert. And the username's administrator and there is no password. So I'm just going to press Enter. Currently our machine name is ID with a bunch of 9s. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the Start button. I'm going to right click on my computer and I'm going to go down to Properties. So underneath the Properties there is a Computer Name tab, and I just want to click on this Change button. So I'm going to give it my initials, JW, and then I'm going to give it my student ID, and then I'm going to give it a dash, and this is my 03. So I'm going to my server 2003. So I'm just going to give it an extension of a dash 03. So I've got JW as my initials. I think it's always important to start with a computer name with some alphas. So, and then it's numeric of my student ID, and then a dash, and then an 03 because it's my 2003. So I'm going to say OK. And it's telling me I need to restart, so I'm just going to say OK. I'm going to say OK a couple of times and say yes to the restart. So at this point, my server 2003 has been renamed. So I'm just going to close this window, and I'm going to do the same thing on my server 2008. So I'm just going to open my console. So I'm going to click on my Start button. I'm going to right click on Computer. I'm going to go to Properties. And here again, I'm going to want to change my computer name. So I'm going to click on the Change Settings. And I'm going to give it JW, my student ID, a dash, and this is my server 2008. So instead of 03, I'm going to give it an 08. I'm going to say OK a couple of times and say yes to a restart. So that's my server 2008. Just going to close that down. So on my Ubuntu, this is actually my Linux machine, which I probably don't really need to change this machine name. I don't think this will have as many conflicts as the Windows machines will. But if you're interested, we can do this one. I'm going to do my Open Console. And I know this is probably a first introduction to Linux for some of you, so don't worry too much if you don't do this one. The student password is password, so I need to actually type in password. And I'm not going to worry about the software updates at this time. I'm going to click on, this is like the Start button, they call it the dash home button. I'm just going to click on this, and I'm going to type in term. And I see my terminal pops in here. So within my terminal window, what I actually want to do is I want to use a tool called gedit, and I need to edit a text file called my host name. Now in order to edit my host name, I need to be a super user, which is sudo, and I'm going to use gedit, which is kind of like Notepad. So it's a /etc, and then it's host name. So I'm going to do sudo space gedit, that's the program we're going to start, space, and then it's a /etc/host name. So I'm just going to hit enter here, and my password is password. And then within gedit, the machine name is student virtual machine. So if I were to take a look in my terminal window, I see it's student at student virtual machine. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change this to JW, my student ID, and I'm going to just do a dash so that way I'm staying consistent. So I've got the 03, the 08, and for the Ubuntu, I'm just going to spell Ubuntu. So I'm just going to save this, and then I'm going to close. Now I see that I've got some funky error messages, but I wouldn't worry about that at all. I would just close that down. And then we just need to restart our Ubuntu machine. So I'm just going to click on the little cog in the upper right corner, and I'm going to go to restart or shut down, and then I'll click on the restart button. So that is our Ubuntu machine. So we've also have our Windows 7 machine. So I'm going to open the console for the Windows 7 machine. And I'm going to click on our start button here. I'm going to right click on my computer. I'm going to go to our properties, and I'm going to change the machine name, and I'm going to click on the change button, and I am going to give this one JW student ID, and then a dash, and then I'm just going to call this one Win 7. I'm going to say OK. Now it's giving me a warning because it's larger than what it would need for the NetBIOS names, so it's going to be just Win. So I'm just gonna say close. I'm gonna accept that. That's fine. I'm gonna restart now. So we've got our Tiger box. Now the Tiger box is going to be a little bit different because we are unable to log into this until we actually do Project 1. But when we do eventually do Project 1, you will be able to log into it. And at this point, you know how to change the machine name. So after you're able to successfully log into the Tiger box, you are more than welcome to change the machine name at that time. So anyways, hopefully this helps better explain how to change machine names.